the race, the other hundreds of thousands filling the stands. Our racing travels take us to Los Angeles in the Golden West, a racing hotbed. Often there we go to Riverside Raceway, out in the desert, not far from L.A. 17 years in a row, we went to the great Tri-Oval of Daytona in Florida for the 500 and many other races. The great jets have taken us far away to the fabled race through the streets of Monte Carlo. And this weekend, as in so many years gone by, we come to Darlington, South Carolina, 2-hour drive from Charlotte. Population 7,500. They grow tobacco and cotton and soybeans around here. And on Saturdays, some of the good old boys go down to the barber shop to watch some haircuts. That is, if it isn't a race weekend.
And there we are, many, many thousands gathered in the infield. They came in here yesterday, and then they locked the gates late last night. The gates were open early this afternoon, and a crowd of more than 65,000, easily a record for this race, has gathered. We're at the 350-mile mark. Leader again is Richard Petty. Second place, Darrell Waltrip. Third, Donnie Allison. They're the only three cars on the same lap. Here is the leader, King Richard Petty, and here we are. I'm Jim McKay with Jackie Stewart, and I'll tell you, I can hardly hear you. It's pretty noisy out here, and windy.
It is very windy, Jim. It doesn't seem to be affecting the cars in any way. We've had remarkably few incidents in this Darlington racetrack, one of the most famous racetracks in the world, Jim, when it comes to incidents and accidents. In this race, we've had very few yellow flags. One car, Jimmy Means, went off the road, crashed with the barrier in turn 3 without any injury to himself, but otherwise it's been pretty scarce of incidents.
It's certainly been a very competitive year on the NASCAR circuit. Of the 7 races run thus far, there have been 6 different winners. Only Bobby Allison has won twice so far this season. He blew an engine just a few laps ago, so he's out of it for today. It's been a very competitive season, as I say. Darrell Waltrip is the leading money winner. He's in second place in this race. And Richard Petty, who's leading this race, won one race earlier this season. So one of the most competitive seasons they've had in a long time. I wonder if right now, it's a little difficult to hear, as I said, we can check in with Chrissy Kanamaki down in the pits. Okay, Chris.
Well, I'm in Darrell Waltrip's pit. Darrell has dominated this race most of the day. Just a little while ago, he had a flat right front tire that had to make a pit stop under the green and put him over 20 seconds behind. He's closing on Richard Petty now at the rate of 21/100ths in race talk, a fifth of a second a lap. That'll take him 100 laps to catch him. But if there's a pit stop in between, then the pit crew could very well make the difference. There's a secondary story down here, too, today. The rookie race. You have 3 great rookies in the race. Dale Earnhardt, Terry Labonte, and Joe Milliken. Labonte blew an engine early. He came to the pits, changed the engine. It took a long time, over half an hour. He went back out on the track. While he was out on the track, Earnhardt blew an engine. He came in and changed his engine. And then a little bit ago, Terry Labonte came in out for the day. That's the story from the pits now. Back to you, Jim.
Okay, in other words, there's been an awful lot going on here so far today. We're back in our commentary position where we are shielded from both wind and noise a bit, so we can carry on with a little more ease. There's the leader in the race, of course, Richard Petty. At age 41, well, he's only 2 years away from equaling his number, Jackie, but he can still go. In fact, he's back now again where he was 2 years ago.
Well, he's a great driver. You know, great racing drivers sometimes have bad years. Richard Petty had a little dry spell there, but a man of his talent with a team as successful as his in the pit lane there can hardly go for any great length of time without any success. And we're seeing it round of one of the most difficult racetracks, and one of the racetracks that Petty perhaps respects more than any other in the world, because it was here that he had his only serious accident in automobile racing. Richard Petty respects Darlington, but even at that, he's the man at this time who's leading the race.
That's right, and we're racing at Darlington, always one of the most spectacular racetracks in the world. Many years ago, this was the place where right there between first and second turns, we saw Cale Yarborough go over the wall right there, out of the racetrack. Things like that haven't happened in a long time. They have built up the wall here. There are more safety precautions and safety guardrails than there were back in those years. But it's still, as we say, a spectacular place. There's the car in second place, Darrell Waltrip, at age 32, one of the new stars of the NASCAR circuit. Came along, 5-6 years ago, Darrell, and very slowly has built his way up until today. He's considered along with Petty and Pearson and all the others. In third place is Donnie Allison, the veteran half of the brother driving team from Hueytown, Alabama. As we said, his brother Bobby, who's the leader on point standings so far this year in the quest for the year-long NASCAR championship, his brother Bobby blew an engine not too many laps ago. But Donnie sat on the pole when this race began at a speed of more than 154 miles an hour in qualifying, and has worked his way back up. Only 3 cars on the same lap. Down 1 lap, we have Cale Yarborough and David Pearson, and Buddy Baker is down 2. Those are the standings at the moment as we come to you live from Darlington, South Carolina. But remember, there's still a long way to go. We have just passed the 350-mile mark, and it's a 500-mile race. We'll be back.
Man, I think you saw, you know, last year wasn't a good race for me here. I hung Neil Bonnet coming out of my pit area, and Neil got into the post that all your wires were hanging on, knocked that thing down. And what happened on the back with Donnie over. I've had some real close calls here, and I've been really fortunate. I finished second here both races last year. But this track demands total concentration. And as the day goes on, it's normally very hot here, and you get fatigued, and it's hard to keep a train of thought going all day long. It's the driver that can withstand all these pressures that usually does the best here, and that's why it's called the Lady in Black, or it's one of the toughest races that we run. It takes all aspects, all total concentration on the driver.
And there's no fun attached to it.
Not really. It's fun to win here. It's one of the most exciting races that there is on the circuit. The infield is packed with people, and the people are hanging over all the walls all the way around the racetrack. All of the old memories of the great drivers that have won here, that have crashed here, cars going out of the racetrack. Everything has happened right here at Darlington, and when you come here, you're a part of nostalgia almost. You're making history almost every time you come here, run and finish a race, because it's hard to finish. I love racing here. I put more effort into doing well here probably than I do anywhere else, because it's always considered to be a driver's racetrack. And, you know, you feel like, well, if I'm going to be a great race driver, or if I am of great race driver quality, then I have to excel at Darlington. And I think that's why a lot of drivers come here and do really well, because they put a lot of effort into this race.
Darrell Waltrip, as I said, an articulate young man currently running in second place in the 23rd annual Rebel 500. By the way, from time to time, we'll probably be referring to so-and-so in a Chevy, so-and-so in a Ford, so-and-so in a Mercury, and of course that's more a matter of convenience, you might say, than anything else, because these are really specially manufactured racing machines. The only parts that would be of the Detroit make that we talk about really are things like windshields and the fenders, perhaps, and the roof, things like that, right, Jackie?
They resemble the Detroit metalwork, and they resemble the car in outside appearance, but they really are specially built racing cars. It would not be ever suggested that there would be anything close to showroom models. They are certainly real racers. They weigh around 3,700 pounds. They're built for racing. They've got all sorts of structures inside to protect the drivers and everything else. It's an amazing motor car at the end.
Okay, and leading all the rest still, 43. That's Richard Petty of the Racing Petties from Randleman, North Carolina. A look at the standings: Petty, Waltrip, Allison, Pearson, Yarborough, and Baker. Much more to come, and we'll be back.
In at the same time, in a very long, prolonged pit stop for the Petty crew. They're putting the jack back up again. There must have been some slight problem there, perhaps. They're getting the fender knocked out.
The other cars are coming around. He's going to lose a lap pretty soon if he doesn't get out of there.
Yeah, obviously the fender there had been damaged in some way or another, and that hadn't been too good.
Okay, Richard Petty, the greatest name in the history of stock car racing. Why don't we take a moment under the yellow to meet him up close and personal. The Pettys of North Carolina live in Level Cross, not far from Randleman, but they're known all over. Their family tree is as well known in the Carolinas as Queen Elizabeth is in England. King Richard is the son of Lee, and King Richard begat Kyle, the current heir apparent. But Lee, the father, was the founder of the dynasty. Richard recalls those early days.
My father first started racing in 1949, and I started driving in 1958. And my father continued driving and had a real bad accident at Daytona. I think he come back in 62 and drove, a few races, 3 or 4 races, something like that, and decided he didn't want to drive anymore. So then that left it up to me, and, I've been driving up till now, and, back in February, then my boy Kyle started running, and he ran the ARCA 200 at Daytona and won the race, first race he'd ever run of any kind. So right now he's working in the shop and learning a little body work, a little engine work, little sheet metal work, little of everything, and I don't think he's too interested in working. Right now, I think he's more interested in driving a race car. Dave's been involved in the business as far as helping run it and all that, and he's been president of the corporation, but he's decided to retire, and you need to find him anytime. You just find out where the closest golf course is, and that's where Lee Petty will be. We've got a lot of cars that we've collected over a period of years. We've got probably 8 or 10 down there of different kinds, T-models and Plymouths and Dodges and a little bit of everything, I guess. Above all collecting all that kind of stuff, I'd rather collect trophies from winning races. That's my big hobby. If I had to live my life over again, maybe some of the down places wouldn't be quite as down, but I've been about as high on a lot of things as you could get. I've had good days and bad days, good years and bad years, but overall, I enjoy the good times as they go along, and I think I'm really satisfied with the way my life's turned out.
Mama, the king of the road, off for a ride in the country.
I know me, king of the road.
Well, under the yellow, the king of the road has dropped back into second place behind Darrell Waltrip at the moment. We are, however, still under the yellow flag here. As we said, Donnie Allison also has gained ground under the yellow. Those 3 cars all on the same lap. 284 laps, 285 laps now have gone by. 367, the total number of laps in this 500-mile race on the race course at Darlington. They're going to be racing again, and we'll be right back. In the stock car world, they call Darlington the daddy of them all. Let's check in with Chris Economaki in the pits.
Okay, well, we just checked with the Darrell Waltrip pit crew and the Richard Petty pit crew and came up with a couple of very surprising answers. I said to Stevie Waltrip, Darrell's wife, who's keeping score here, this will make your last pit stop in the last 10 laps of the race. And she said, no, Chris, we're going to go all the way. That's 84 laps on a tank of gasoline. The car has not gone more than 79 laps on a tank full. We went down to Richard Petty's pit and said, when are you going to make your last stop? And they said, after the race. Neither car has gone 84 laps on a tank full. They both say they're going to gamble. There may be second thoughts a little bit later on. Back to you, Jim.
All right, Chris, that's extremely interesting as Cale Yarborough unlaps himself of 1 lap on the leader, and there is David Pearson moving ahead of Richard Petty. Now remember, Pearson is a lap down, but he's trying to unlap himself. If he gets past Darrell Waltrip, he'll be on the same lap with the leaders, and a yellow flag would put him right up with them.
And again, Richard Petty's car there seemed to get loose, and that was one of the reasons there that he allowed David Pearson to slip under him there on that high bank there. Richard's car doesn't seem to have been handling as well as it was handling before this yellow flag trouble. And there, Darrell Waltrip again unlaps himself. He gets past poor old Cale Yarborough there, and I'm afraid Cale's got himself passed there by David Pearson in that little kerfuffle. So it means now that he is further back than he intended.
Would you care to explain that Scottish expression you just gave us? A kerfuffle, my boy?
Well, a kerfuffle is much the same way as getting your foot on the wrong side of the bed when you're trying to get out in the morning. A kerfuffle is a Scottish habit. And James, a lot of things have happened over in this country that the Scots have been part of.
All right. Kerfuffle or no, Darrell Waltrip still leads the race, and David Pearson there, who appears to be in second place, remember, is 4th, but a lap down. He must get ahead of Darrell Waltrip in order to have a chance to gain on the next yellow, if, in fact, there is a yellow. Okay, remember, now, the blue car with the day-glow orange on the side, that is Richard Petty. He appears to be 4th now, but he is in second place in the race, and he is only that far behind the leader. It's the cars in between that are down 1 lap or 2. In the case of Pearson, just 1 lap. In the case of Yarborough, 2.
Isn't it ironic here that we're looking at this leaderboard, we're looking at these drivers, car number 88 in the lead there, then car number 21, although he's those laps down, and Cale Yarborough and Richard Petty in there, they're all the regulars, and this is the most difficult racetrack perhaps of them all. And it's those men that are dominating this racetrack at this time. The men with a lot of experience under their belt. This is the type of racetrack that needs that kind of experience.
We should remember that lurking a few hundred yards back and on the same lap is car number 1, Donnie Allison. But it is a kind of a coincidence of the race that the 4 men most visible racing together are probably the 4 biggest names in the sport. There they are, Waltrip, Petty, and the standings. Donnie Allison 3rd, remember, then Pearson, then Benny Parsons, who won this race last year, and Buddy Baker. The race goes on at Darlington, and we're live. Boy, would I... Out there is Darrell Waltrip into the pits, the leader in the race, because Neil Bonnet hit the wall between turns 1 and 2. Again, it was only a single-car accident. That's been the story all day today, and there have been no injuries so far. There is Neil Bonnet, car number 12, just as he went into the wall, entering turn one, really. He's got a very competitive car this year. In fact, his performance in the IROC series, winning that last race, really got him a better ride than he had earlier in the season.
Certainly, he had a little trouble there. He had brushed the wall a few laps before, but and there's David Pearson on the pit lane has lost a wheel. David Pearson's got there's two wheels lying down the pit road here. Both his outside wheels have come off.
That's something I haven't seen in a long, long time, if ever, in NASCAR racing. Look at that.
And he's spinning his rear wheel trying to get away. He doesn't know his rear wheel is off on the other side. Now, this is the Wood brothers, the most experienced pit crew
in the world.
In the world. And something has very, very strangely happened to the car of the great-grandfather of motor racing, David Pearson. The Silver Fox is now spinning his wheels literally as, my goodness, two wheels have fallen off.
I've never seen that before. Have you seen that before?
I had one situation where two of my wheels fell off a racing car at one single lap. I saw the first one passing me and I couldn't believe it, and then the second one passed me, and therefore that was really the end of the day. But my goodness, it's also the law at the end of the day as far as they're concerned. I'm afraid David Pearson's not going to enjoy this trip.
Okay, let's have a look. Excuse me, Jackie. We have the standings again for Long Beach. With more than a third of the race gone out there in California, it's still Gilles Villeneuve in a Ferrari leading the race. Jean-Pierre Jarier on your old team, Tyrrell in second place. Then Jody Scheckter, who's with Ferrari this year. Then Patrick Depailler in the Ligier. And then the world champion, Mario Andretti, is running in fifth place. Much more to come here, as you can see, with 65 laps to go in the race. But the yellow is out right now. We're going to go away. Frank Gifford has something else to present to you, and then we'll come back. Over to you, Frank. Under the yellow, not only because of the accident to David Pearson's car, but also because it has begun to sprinkle rain here. However, it's not raining as hard as it was a minute ago. There is the Pearson car being towed away after having lost both wheels on the left side coming out of pit row after a pit stop. Pearson has, as Jackie indicated, the most experienced pit crew in the world. I don't think there's any question that the famous Wood brothers, competent, unflappable, nothing ever bothers them. A few minutes ago, while we were away, Chris Akatamaki went down to the area where that untoward event had taken place. He got on camera and did a little piece for us, so why don't we take a look at that now? His tape.
A remarkable miscue in the pits, a rarity in the Wood brothers pit. David Pearson entering the yellow flag to change outside tires. The crew decided to change all four. NASCAR rules allow only one jack in the pits. So while the jack was being let down on the right side, the nuts on the left wheels were loosened. When the jack man pulled around front, David went out, not knowing the inside wheels were to be changed, and they came off and he crashed to the inside wall. And now to further complicate things here at the Rebel 500, it's starting to rain. Back to you, Jim.
As I said, that was videotaped a few minutes ago when it was starting to rain, and you got the story. So it was not the Wood brothers putting loose lugs on there or anything, as we certainly not expect. It was just David got a missed signal and took off not knowing.
A misunderstanding can happen to even the best and even the most experienced.
It appears to me that it has stopped raining now. It did not rain very long, no more than about 4 or 5 minutes, so the track should not take very long to dry out. We have, at the moment, we have 59 laps scheduled to be left in this race before we reach the end, the 500-mile mark. So we're going to be coming back here. All sorts of things could still happen. Let's go back now to Bob Beatty. Darlington, and we're still under the yellow. A very, very fine sprinkle is continuing to fall here, so the track has not dried out as yet. The laps under the yellow continuing to count. We have 55 laps to go on this track of something over 1.5 miles in length. Richard Petty, as you see, is still the leader. Darrell Waltrip is still second. Donnie Allison is third, and only those cars are on the same lap. In fact, Benny Parsons and Buddy Baker, who are fourth and fifth, are actually 2 laps down, and Cale Yarborough is at least 3. So that's the situation, and Jackie, I just don't know. If it doesn't rain anymore, if it would stop right now, and it seems to have stopped again, we could get a green flag.
I have a feeling we'll get a green flag because I think it's a strong, strong wind. It's still warm here. With this wind on this track, I can think of it drying out very quickly indeed, and really it only needs to stop little spits of rain that are coming out right now, and I think we're going to see a motor race, and what a return motor race we're going to have over these final laps.
Okay, well, meanwhile, there's an awful lot going on in the world of sports this weekend, so there's plenty to come up on Wide World. Right now, as a matter of fact, we're going to go to our colleague Frank Gifford in the studio. And we return live to the Darlington Raceway in Darlington, South Carolina, where it continues to sprinkle. Just a very fine rain falling, but it's enough to keep them under the yellow flag here as Richard Petty continues to lead the Rebel 500. Darrell Waltrip in second place, Donnie Allison third, those three on the same lap. Then Buddy Baker and Benny Parsons 2 laps down, and Cale Yarborough 3 laps down. Just a few minutes ago, we got further news on that strange occurrence in the pits where both left wheels came off Dave Pearson's cars. Chris Agadamaki talked to him a couple minutes ago.
Okay, here's David Pearson, a quick change. It didn't take you long to get out of your suit, David. That was a wild scene down there. How did it happen as you saw it?
Well, I just come in the pits, and undoubtedly, I didn't know they was going to change all 4 tires. Of course, they usually tell me, but that time, I guess I was so interested in beating Darrell out of the pits, I didn't hear him. But anyway, when they let the jack down, that's the signal to go when the jack goes down. And, of course, they let the jack down, and Leonard didn't come around the front, and I was wondering why he didn't come around the, front of the car, but I don't know. I guess me so eager trying to beat Darrell out, I was just took off, and they'd already took the lugs off the left tires.
When did you know the lugs were off? Did they tell you on the radio, or did the wheels come off first?
Yeah, they was hollering for me to whoa, and I thought they were saying go, so then, of course, I was trying all I could to go down the pit road, and they fell off.
Anything like this ever happened to you before?
No, never
Well,
happened.
let's hope it never happens again, David.
Well, thank you, Chris.
Better luck next time. David Pearson, one of the favorites, 6 times a winner in this one, but not today. Back to you, Jim.
Okay, tape report with David Pearson, who lost both wheels on the left side of his car coming out of the pits. That's the way they stand all right, and we got up this morning, it was beautiful. Somebody said 0 chance of rain, and it began to change slowly, but then I guess there was a reason why Mr. Shakespeare from your island, Jackie, referred to this month as Capricious April. We're going to stand by here, see what happens. Right now, we're going to go back again to the Oriental world of self-defense. We're back at the Felt Forum. Live at Darlington, South Carolina. Jim McKay here with Jackie Stewart. There's how they stand. Darrell Waltrip, who had been in second place under the yellow, jumped Richard Petty on the green flag, passed him going into turn 1, took the lead, but they're still that close. Look at the situation, and look who's in third place. Donnie Allison in car number 1, the red one there, who sat on the pole when the race began, dropped back as far as 9th place, seemed to be out of it, has patiently bided his time, driven a very intelligent race, and now he's right in it. It's a 3-car race, and with just over 40 laps to go, just about anything could happen. It almost did right then.
Well, Richard Petty was looking for an opening there, nearly found it, then came up against a slower car, saw that if he drew out at that point, he would get snookered by Donnie Allison, and that, again, is a game of chess here at this kind of racetrack, 1.38 miles around this racetrack, and these 3 drivers, it's no doubt in my mind that the Darrell Waltrip's race car here seems to be the fastest race car on the track today, but Richard Petty, so much experience, very close behind them. They're looking for a place as they come along the front stretch. Can he get through? Not this time. Darrell gets it into turn 1 there, gets that car glued onto the high banking. Richard Petty getting up alongside him, coming out of turn 2. It's a great position for Petty to be in. Can he get past it? Side by side. Look at how close they are. Richard Petty goes into the lead, and he gets it front, and he goes high in the banking. Too high. That was
And Darrell down low, and there you go. Right back in the lead again.
Little error there by King Richard. He just got that car, and he went too deep into that corner. The front end started to push, got understeer, and got too high on the road.
50 miles to go, 37 laps. Darrell Waltrip in front. Richard Petty is second. Donnie Allison is still there in third place, and Petty setting up again, going down low. But no, not this time.
He's got to be so careful, Jim, that he doesn't allow Donnie Allison to get the draft from Darrell Waltrip, because if Richard Petty loses that draft and Donnie Allison gets it, he could get Richard out of second place there very easily.
This is sensational racing. I believe you said that Darrell snickered him on the start. You're full of quaint folk expressions today. Now, what does that one mean?
Well, we have a game in England that's much the same as your billiards that we play with snookers with a lot more balls on the table. And what you've got to try and do is get one ball behind the other so that the player can't pot the ball that is out of sight.
All right.
And therefore, that's exactly what can happen in a racetrack.
If you get into a kerfuffle, you might get snookered. Here we have some automobile race. Now, look at this. Darrell Waltrip, at age 32, out of Franklin, Tennessee. Richard Petty, 41 years old. He had his problems on the racetrack for 18 months. This greatest of all the stock car drivers didn't win a race, then suddenly won the greatest of them all, the Daytona 500. Here he is out there again. He has had his physical problems, too, and a long 500-mile race like this is draining on a man who's had an ulcer problem.
He certainly has. They say half his stomach was taken away in a very major operation. You wouldn't like to think that right now, the way he's out there driving. But of course, he's a man with a lot of courage and a lot of experience. His race car seems to be quicker through turn 1 and 2 than the car of Darrell Waltrip. But Darrell Waltrip's very fast going into turn 3. And that's the place that he's got to be right on, because this final lap of this race, going through those 2 final corners, are going to be where the race is won or lost.
Richard Petty, the son of Lee Petty, who was one of the first great stock car drivers in the American South. Now he is the father of Kyle Petty, who has started his racing career and started it early this season with, what would you expect, a victory in his first race. Here he goes, making a move on Waltrip again, but Darrell's shutting him off.
Yep, Darrell's not letting him giving any quarters here. Remember, the heavy clouds are still here, and it's spitting with rain. It's, as we look out of our commentary position, there's some rain on the screen here, and it could be that we could get a yellow flag again, and that's why Darrell Waltrip, under no condition, can allow Richard Petty to get past him right now, because if they throw that yellow at the wrong time, this race could be lost for the man who's now in the lead.
Of course, once the yellow flag goes out, you cannot pass anybody. You can close up on them, but they couldn't get any closer. But you cannot pass, and this race conceivably could finish under the yellow. At the moment, the track is dry, obviously. As you see, they are racing at full speed under the green flag. It's Waltrip 88, Petty 43, and just behind them, lurking, remember, is Donnie Allison, although he can't quite get close enough to really get into that battle. He's dropped back a little bit. See, that's the red car on the right of your screen. The maroon car, I guess we would say, or burgundy, number 1.
Well, he's sitting back there. If anything were to happen to these two drivers, and they're so close together, as you can see, it only needs the ever so slight mistake by any of those drivers, and then Donnie Allison sitting there with just enough cushion or breathing space to see where the wreckage would be going, could sneak through there. And this is what happened even to Darrell Waltrip in 1976 at the end of the Southern 500. That's the race on the fall on this same racetrack. That's exactly how Darrell Waltrip won the race that he did on this track way back in 76 in the fall. It was because of an accident in the last corner of the last lap. Richard Petty got very loose there. The back end of that car went out, went into oversteer. You can see how he lost that few yards, very important yards, just on that one corner.
And by the way, neither of those cars should need another pit stop before the race is over as far as fuel is concerned, because they both topped off when the yellow flag was out. They should easily be able to go all the way and just have a trophy dash, as they call it, to the checkered flag. And it's those two now, with Donnie Allison beginning to drop out of it again, as he has on several occasions today. The race goes on. It's all live, once again, coming to you from Darlington. We'll be back again in another minute.
When you go to the movies and you're glad
on the racetrack, and the battle against the elements. It's Darrell Waltrip leading Richard Petty by that narrow margin. Donnie Allison, the only car aside from them on the same lap. But we also have the situation with the rain. Very, very fine, almost unmeasurable rain is falling at the moment. It's almost like a mist. But it doesn't take much more than that to bring out the yellow flag. And as Jackie Stewart pointed out, if that yellow comes out in this situation, and if they would stay under the yellow to the finish, Darrell Waltrip would be the winner of the race.
And of course, the reason that yellow flag would come... Oh, and here's Richard Petty making an effort, a big, long
Look at that other car in the way. He's not going to do it.
He was snookered again.
Aha. Almost had a kerfuffle with the orange car down low.
But you know, the reason that they have to change the situation here is these cars have no tread in their tires. This is intentional. This is to give them extra grip. But there's no opportunity for rain or water to drain away from the tread of the tire. So therefore, they cannot run in the rain, because, of course, at the speeds that they're doing here, and they're averaging more than 150 miles an hour. Richard Petty got loose there over that famous bump coming out of turn 4. The rear end of the car broke away. Richard collected it very well. These are not easy cars to drive. I once drove Richard Petty's car around the Atlanta Speedway, and really the amount of play and the amount of movement in the steering wheel, it's not easy to correct a slide like that precisely and quickly like they would do in a Formula 1 car that I would be used to driving. So for Richard to collect that the way he did, obviously you're looking at a man who I don't have to say has lightning reactions.
Well, the worst crash in his career we saw on this racetrack when he rolled all the way down the home straightaway, remember? There is Donnie Allison, the middle car in that group of 3. The burgundy-colored car number 1. Let's get a relationship between Donnie, if we can, and the leaders. Now, Donnie is the car number 1 there, going through the turn, and there you see as we move across, he has all that distance between him and the leaders. Now, his only hope would be a yellow flag, but if the yellow comes out at this point, as we say, conceivably they could finish there, so it wouldn't help him at all. So Richard Petty just hopes that the green flag stays out, obviously. Waltrip at this point wouldn't be too angry if the rain would begin to fall, although here comes Petty again.
And again, it's in front, this front stretch, that he's able to see that advantage. He seems to come off of turn 4 that little bit faster. He's quicker through turns 1 and 2. Then they go down this back stretch that you're looking at right now. As they go into turn 3, the corner that's just coming up, it seems unquestionably that Darrell Waltrip's car is faster. And look at that. A little gap opens up there very clearly for Darrell Waltrip. And as I said earlier, these two last corners, turn 3 and 4, are the ones that really matter. But look at Richard. That's a tester. He's really seeing what he has to do leading up to these final laps here to see what he has to achieve going up to this final flag lap that'll be coming and not too far.
Little less than those 22 laps to go now as they move out of turn 2 and on the back straightaway. Waltrip in front. Petty is second. It's just those two, really. But Donnie Allison, should anything untoward happen up front, is ready to leap in and still grab this race.
And stranger things have happened. We've had a year of great drama in the NASCAR series with last lap accidents and great troubles. And therefore, Donnie Allison at this point, even though he is a little bit far back in this racetrack, is certainly not out of the picture.
Donnie Allison, as we say, started on the pole. Darrell Waltrip started on the outside of the first row. He had the second fastest qualifying speed. Richard Petty started in the third row. He was sixth fastest of all the cars who qualified here. But they're 1, 2, 3 right now. Waltrip the leader, the Tennessean, and the North Carolinian there in second place, and the Alabamian in third place.
Well, a lot of people have come to see this kind of motor racing. Look how close it is. All of the people in the grandstand right now, not one of them in their seat. They're all standing, and it's a record crowd that they've got here, they say, in Darlington. They've got, say, more than 65,000 people. This year, they've had record crowds at all of these NASCAR races. It's tremendous racing, always close, and this year, with so many winners, it's really been exciting.
That's a record for the Rebel race, of course. For the one, the Southern 500 in the fall, they get even more. Still green flag racing, and less than 20 laps to go now as they cross the start-finish line. Under 20, Waltrip and Petty, the 32-year-old, the 41-year-old. It's been a long, long afternoon. Remember, this race started about 9 minutes to 2 Eastern Standard Time. Now coming up towards 6 o'clock. So they've been 4 hours out on that racetrack, and that is a long, long time. For much of the race, it was quite hot, cooling down a little bit now, but still in the car, probably up somewhere around 100 degrees. The race goes on, and we'll be back. Taking the lead from Darrell Waltrip. But there is Darrell setting him up again. We could have another change in the lead very shortly. We have less than 16 laps to go in this race. Richard Petty, the king of the stock car racers, just set up Darrell. He took a look at him about 5 or 6 times and finally made his move and passed him. And there is Waltrip again. We could have that change in the lead, literally side by side. The old saying down here, toe handle to toe handle. And that's it. Classic stock car racing in Darlington. But Richard holds him up.
What a move right there.
This was the pass. We're on videotape now. This was about 2 minutes ago while we were away. This was when Richard Petty was setting up Darrell Waltrip, moving alongside just as Darrell did to him here, live a moment ago. But in this case, Richard did get past. That was on tape. Remember, that was just a couple of minutes ago. But now we're back live, and this is Richard Petty still where he has been since passing Waltrip. Well, less than 15 laps to go on this 1.366-mile race course. Total laps in the race, 367, and they've gone 353 now. Less than 14 to go, Jackie.
Well, I don't know what's going through the heads of those drivers right now. Richard Petty's car has been very slippery off of turn 4. It's been unstable, just coming off of the 4th corner, and that's the corner that he's got to be absolutely sure about when he goes down to that final rush towards the finishing line. Darrell Waltrip's car has been faster going into turn 3, and that's an important place because that's where he would slip past Richard Petty if he had to do it on the famous last lap dash. It's going to be one of the classic finishes. Darlington, somehow or other, Jim, always comes up.
One way or another before it's over. That's right.
It's amazing.
Let me ask you this. If you had your choice right now, which car would you be in?
I would be in the car of Darrell Waltrip.
Why?
I think it's been the fastest car all the way through. I think it's the more sure-footed on the racetrack right now. I think Richard Petty's driving right up at 9/10 or 10/10, right at the limit of his car and right at the limit of Richard Petty. I think Darrell Waltrip's just got a little bit in hand in that motor car. It just looks that little bit more stable all the way around the racetrack, and I like his ability to be able to go into turn 3 that little bit faster.
What, however, do you think might be going through the canny mind of the master strategist, Richard Petty?
I think right now he recognizes that he's got a driver of tremendous talent right up his backside, and look at him how close he is there. He really was close. And these slower cars, Jim, this is one of the things that Petty could use. If he were to have the good fortune to have the odd car close to him on that final lap, I think he could play the traffic well to his advantage, because Petty is so experienced. But right now, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a pass. Look, I think he's going to do it.
He's sure going to try it. Darrell Waltrip moving alongside Petty. Again, door handle to door handle. This time he gets the nose in front, and this time he's done it. Richard getting loose, but getting control of the car.
Richard had to back off there because Darrell Waltrip had gone high on that racetrack, and it was so easy there. If a driver of lesser experience, or perhaps even more stubborn a mind than Richard Petty, would probably have collided at that point with Darrell Waltrip. Now there's the youth and exuberance of a younger driver against the sheer talent and experience of an older driver, because Petty certainly backed off and let him go through. Richard Petty certainly isn't going to give up. He never does. But he certainly backed off there and avoided an accident, Jim.
Okay, so what tactics may be going through his mind now that suddenly he's in second place? He's in the slingshot position now.
Yeah, but he has to be able to do it down the back.
Oh,
and there's a car.
Somebody lost a tire on the straightaway, the home straightaway, and if that has not brought out the yellow as yet, but there's a tire lying right in the middle of the home straight. Now the yellow is out. The yellow is out with 9 laps left to go. Somebody almost hit that tire.
Yep, and there's
the car that dropped it.
Now, this is one of the good things about NASCAR. There's the tire sitting in the middle of that racetrack. This car is driving around the racetrack without that front tire on. Sparks flying out of it. It's gone into the back of the... And Richard Petty just avoiding the tire right now, and he nearly got loose. Richard Petty nearly hit another car there in that front stretch, because nobody's been able to go out and collect that tire yet. The cars are getting slowed down. No official wants to take that risk of going out there where these cars are still passing there at well over 100 miles an hour. A difficult thing to see from a driver's point of view against a black racetrack.
Right.
And I think some of these drivers may not have seen that tire during that little last shuffle there.
The question, though, is can they clean things up in time to get a final green lap or two before the finish of this race? The tire is still lying there. Whether there's other debris on the track or not, we don't know. The car was sliding along. It was Butch Hartman, I believe, in car number 75. Let's take a break and come back. We'd like to alert our stations around the country. We will be running over until the conclusion of the race. Now, there are only 7 laps to go, just a hair under 7 laps in the race. ABC's World News tonight is scheduled to come on at 6 o'clock Eastern Time over most of these ABC stations. It will come on immediately following the conclusion of the race, so stay tuned for the news of the world also. There is Butch Hartman's car, number 75, and there goes the tire.
And he had his hand in the air there. He knew there was something wrong. He put his hand out of the driver's window high for the other drivers to see it, and there the sparks were flying. No fire. One of the great safety factors of NASCAR. They have isolated fuel tanks. There was no risk of a fire there because of the precautions taken by NASCAR here. Tremendously safe motor cars. And of course, we're under the yellow. The pace car is out.
Yes, but the pace car is coming off.
And they're going to go green, yeah.
Yep, we're going to get the green right now with 5 laps to go. There'll be 5 laps to go when they hit the start-finish line. What a sensational finish this should be. Darrell Waltrip out in front. Richard Petty second. Donnie Allison third. There they go, into turn 1. White car with green is Waltrip, then Richard Petty. And now Donnie Allison is right behind them again. Remember, he was able to close up under the yellow, but immediately seems to be dropping back a little. Just doesn't seem to have the speed of those other 2 cars.
Already, Richard Petty has caught up a few yards there, and Darrell Waltrip as they go into turn 3. Richard Petty lost a little bit on the start there, but look how close he is there. He's going under him. It seems to... Oh, car number 88 certainly got high on the racetrack.
Unbelievable.
Really high on the racetrack.
He's got him.
He's got him. Something went wrong here. It seems very strange that Darrell Waltrip's car behaved very strangely there. It seemed that he went high, and here Johnny Allison's got back into this fight again because these two front cars lost a little bit of time there in that last corner. It seems now that Johnny Allison got up a little bit closer to them, but now King Richard is in the lead.
Johnny Allison has certainly driven as patient and as capable a race as you could expect today, hanging in there in third place behind the other two cars, which obviously seem to be faster than he is today, although he sat on the pole. That was qualifying, and that's a different situation from the race. Here comes Waltrip again, going down low, trying to retake the lead from Petty, and as he go into turn one, he's got it again.
That man has the fastest car in this racetrack. I'd have to...
Here comes Richard.
And Richard again getting low. It seems to me that Darrell Waltrip's car is not handling so well going out of these corners, and they're going down side by side going into turn 3. Richard Petty takes the lead again. The crowd on their feet, and Darrell Waltrip goes underneath of Richard Petty. I've never seen such a good close race as this. And look how close they are. They've touched.
Look at the crowd waving and shouting. They've never seen anything better than this, and Johnny Allison down low is into it now. He has somehow caught up with the others, although they had no traffic or anything. Maybe he had just a little something he was saving.
The two front cars certainly were slowing up there because of them being side by side. Johnny Allison was using up the road there very comfortably, catching them as they sort of hooked up on each other, had to back off a little bit here and there. Johnny Allison got the draft and got involved there. But look at them now, they almost touched there. Once again coming through turn 4.
Any one of these three cars could still win the race. As the white flag comes out, one left to go. In the Rebel 500, and there goes Darrell Waltrip for the lead. Johnny Allison still hanging behind Richard Petty. Petty now coming down low. Again, they're side by side. Well, you can see it happening right before you. They're coming to turn 3. 2 more turns to go. Richard Petty still side by side. Johnny Allison still hanging in third. Oh! Petty has got to leave it. There comes Waltrip down below him as Petty stood up high. Johnny Allison trying to move past Petty into second place. They're coming to the finish line. It is Darrell Waltrip winning the Rebel 500. Petty is second, and Johnny Allison is third by about 3 feet. Jackie, what a motor race.
What a race. I can't remember ever seeing the end of a motor race, Jim, being as exciting as that. Never have I seen a finish with so many passes in such a short track in such a short time.
With 500 miles behind them, there were a dozen feet between the three when it all was over. Darrell Waltrip of Franklin, Tennessee, has won his second race of this NASCAR season. He won the first one, the Western 500, out in California. Now he's won this one. He already was the leading money winner of the year, so obviously he will continue to have that position. He also, I believe, will take over the season point lead from Bobby Allison. It's Darrell Waltrip, the winner. Jim McKay with Jackie Stewart saying so long from Darlington as we watch the winner come into his pit. Darrell Waltrip, Jackie, it's been good to be with you, and what a racing season we have coming up. Indianapolis not far off, and so many other things in the offing. It's all been live from Darlington. It's not raining, and we're gone.